Hey there, friends. Welcome to a behind the scenes episode of The PA is In. Today I'm sharing a deeply personal story. One about burnout, which you have heard before, but also this element of identity loss and how finding a hobby, finding a sport, finding something that I was passionate about, and skiing quite literally saved my life. If you've ever felt lost, burned out, or like you've forgotten what joy even feels like, this episode is for you. Let's rewind to about 5 years ago. I was running on empty, pushing myself beyond the brink of exhaustion, suffering from every known sign and symptom of burnout. I was a full-time PA, constantly on call, barely present at home, honestly, barely home. And when I was home, I definitely wasn't my best self. The warning signs were everywhere. From the physical ones like pneumonia, this incessant insomnia, autoimmune, thyroid issues, and just feeling like I was floundering. My life was just a slog. Work was a slog. My relationships were suffering, but I ignored every one of those signs and symptoms because pushing through was what I had always done. So here's the thing about medicine and motherhood. They both train us that self-preservation. They make us get rid of that instinct for self-preservation. They train it right out of us. You put aside your needs for your kids. You prioritize your patients over yourself. You work for the good of others, even if it nearly kills you. Parenting and the practice of medicine leads to this situation where you just have endless demands, where people need you at home, where patients need you at work, and it's quite frankly relentless. When I burned out and quit my job at first, I didn't know who I was without medicine. I had spent my entire adult life, honestly, even years before I became an adult, becoming a PA, working to become this thing, to get into school, to learn what I needed to do, to pass the boards, to figure out how to practice medicine, to identify what the business of medicine was. And suddenly, when I quit my job, it felt like that part of me was gone. So yes, I was still a PA. Yes, I was still licensed. Yes, I still had my board certification, but without a purpose in terms of a job to go to, I felt lost and adrift. But in the midst of that uncertainty, I made one small but life-changing decision. I talked to Dan and I bought a season pass to our local mountain. Now, let me take you back because skiing wasn't new to me. I started skiing when I was probably about 2 years old in my backyard in rural Maine. My dad would pull my sister and me up a hill with a rope handle, like a little wooden, what was that made of, Dad? Like wooden handle with a rope. Did we hold on to the handle and he held onto the rope? Was there a handle on both sides? And we would ski down this little hill and he would pick us up at the bottom. We would hold onto this rope, almost like maybe it was a water skiing handle. And he would just pull us up the hill and turn us around and push us back down. And he did that for, I don't know, probably a couple of days until we got too fast and he had to upgrade to a snowmobile so that he could keep up with us, because between my sister and I, we were just going down the hill, down the hill, down the hill, and he couldn't run up fast enough with each one of us. So he started doing it with the snowmobile, I think one at a time. I don't think we were both behind the snowmobile at once. So skiing was this thing that was a part of my DNA. It was a huge part of my childhood, and skiing and being outdoors in the winter still to this day holds some of my happiest memories. And then from a family hobby and something that we did together for years and years, skiing became a competitive sport. I skied on the race team in middle school and high school every year, except that one year when I broke my arm skiing, messing around with some friends, and I had to do Nordic or cross-country skiing that year. As a provider, this story is sort of terrifying to me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So I broke my arm, my forearm, I think probably my radius, but honestly, I was a kid, so I don't know which of those bones I broke. And it was non-surgical repair. They splinted me in the ER. They casted me in the orthopedic surgeon's office. And my mom did ask the surgeon who was seeing us, can she ski on the ski team, like racing in gates? And the surgeon strongly recommended against doing that with a cast on my arm for fear of, a repeat injury or some impact that could potentially impede my healing and make this non-surgical, fracture that was going to be conservatively casted and repaired to become a surgical fix, I would assume. So my dad took that answer. He did not attend the appointment. He took that answer as permission to put me on the cross-country team and Nordic race with one arm one arm and one pole because that was not expressly forbidden by the surgeon. So I did spend one season Nordic racing. But other than that, I was in the alpine ski team. My dad was our coach, and we just had such a blast showing up and doing that racing. So it was a huge, huge part of my life until I went away to college. And then, as you know, life got busy. There was college, there was undergraduate degrees, there was extracurricular activities, there was PA school. And then that life where you're a new graduate, where you're stepping into adulthood, where you're trying to figure out how to actually practice medicine as the person who is responsible and liable for all the things. And then for me, pretty quickly came marriage and along with it, stepmotherhood. And then we had baby after baby after baby. And during those years, I stopped skiing. In fact, I didn't ski for probably 10 to 12 years during that time of sort of undergrad, grad school, and sort of new married adult life. I stepped away from a hobby and a sport that I loved and continue to love because life was happening. But when I burned out, when I quit my job and I bought that season pass at my local mountain in the Poconos, and I clicked back into my skis, the same skis I skied on in high school with the same boots I used in high school, something shifted. And I felt sort of suddenly, magically like me again. And yes, this was something I was doing with the kids, and I taught all of our little kids to ski, and I skied with our big kids. But on those days when I was out there alone, or even in these pockets of time where I'm skiing with the kids, but they don't need my undivided attention and they're sort of going down right in front of me, I have these moments of just being really present in my body without distractions. There was some element of movement, some element of being in the outdoors that was just super healing to me. Skiing became more than a sport. It became my therapy. It pulled me outside when seasonal depression and just depression in general tried to drag me under. When I felt like burnout was the place that I would be for the rest of my life and my career, it gave me movement and it got me out in the fresh air and it gave me this sense of freedom that I hadn't felt in years. Skiing and being in the outdoors and having a sport and a hobby that I love reminded me that I could still learn and grow and have fun just like when I was a kid. Skiing has also blessed me with a growing community of friends to get outdoors with. Between my anesthesiologist friend Kenny, who I literally ran into on the mountain after we had seen each other posting about skiing, and now we ski together several times a week, to taking a step that scared the crap out of me and attending a ski moms getaway, which is just what it sounds. It's like ski camp, but for moms who ski this year. And I met Lauren, my new skiing bestie. We immediately clicked, and after trading numbers and a little bit of false starting and figuring out if we were actually going to be real life friends, we decided to attend another women's ski clinic this year together. Quality time outdoors with a new friend who's already turned into one of my favorite people. Yes, please sign me up for that every day and twice on Sunday. On another day skiing this year, I ended up on the lift alone, the chairlift alone with this older gentleman. And there's just something about being out on skis, being in the outdoors, where you just chat and connect. And it was this beautiful sunny day. And so I said to him, what a day, right? What a great day to be out on the mountain. And he shared with me that just a couple months ago, he had lost his wife of 53 years. And then he went on to say that they had just lived this amazing life and they had taken these adventures and how skiing for them had been such a huge part of their family memories. And he shared with me this story about how he was this professional and had this sort of standard corporate career and that he got laid off in his like late 40s, early 50s. And he and his wife were sort of like, what are we going to do with this opportunity to sort of reevaluate what we want to do in life? And they both became ski instructors and their kids had left for college and they spent their winters in Colorado and their summers in Pennsylvania. And that they just had this wonderful experience teaching skiing, that they taught their kids to ski, that their kids are now lifelong skiers themselves. And now they have this opportunity to ski with their grandchildren. And Now, this is like a stranger. I'm telling you, being out on the mountain is just magical. This is someone who I don't even know his name, right? I don't know this person's name, but on the chairlift, he was sharing this with me, and it was just so incredibly moving. I did not think I was going to get this emotional recording this. Skiing and being outdoors and experiencing the outdoors and adventuring together, it's just this wonderful thing that connects people. It builds community. For me, it has been this thing that has given me something to live for. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel incredibly passionate about the business that I run, about the job that I work clinically, about my relationships, about my family. All of those things are still huge, huge, important values of mine. But when I think about skiing, I think the thing that's different about skiing for me is that it is something just for me, especially when I do it alone, but also when I do it in connection and community with other people. And I have realized that we all need something that is just for us. Burnout is absolutely real, but hobbies help. They remind us who we are outside of our work, our responsibilities, the people that we exist in relationship with, and the expectations that are placed upon us. If you are looking for more evidence, for more advice, and more complete strategies on how hobbies can be life-giving and life-saving, check out the book or audiobook, Find Your Unicorn Space by Eve Rodsky. I will link it in the show notes. It's a book that I revisit probably once a year at this point, and it's all about how to reclaim your creative life in a too busy world. And before you write that off as someone who feels like science is more your lane than creativity, it is absolutely a must read for anyone who feels like they've lost themselves and they need to find something that is going to rekindle that passion and that purpose in life. So I want to ask you, what is your skiing? What is that unicorn space? What is that hobby? What is that passion? What is that thing that makes you feel alive? The thing that reconnects you with yourself. Maybe it's something that you used to do but put on the back burner. Maybe you've never really felt like you found your thing. Either way, I encourage you to do some self-reflection. Read that book. Think about what you used to enjoy when you were a kid before all of these responsibilities existed in your life. Send us an email, themoneypa@gmail.com, and tell us what your thing is, what it was, what you're doing to take a step towards getting back into that hobby or that passion. And if this resonates with you and the outdoors is something that you enjoy, I did just start a new channel. I feel that some of this skiing outdoor adventure stuff is not exactly aligned with what I do on some of my other platforms. So if you're on Instagram or TikTok, find me on Tracy_Untamed. I'm going to be sharing things about skiing, adventuring, solo travel, some of these things I've always dreamed about doing. And my goal there is to really remind everyone that the outdoors is a space for you, that it's not just a space for people who sort of know what they're doing. Certainly there are some safety concerns there, but that you belong in this space, you belong in the outdoors, you belong in all the places that you choose to show up, and that I want to encourage you to take up space and be loud and be exactly who you are and exactly where you deserve to be. So if you're listening to this and if you're feeling like you're stuck in burnout, feel like you're working full time and that is just hampering your ability to have time to pursue those passions or do something that makes you feel purposeful, I'd like to invite you to join us inside of the Pathway to Part-Time group coaching program. We are starting the end of March 2025 because life is too short to be stuck in survival mode. You shouldn't have to feel like a shell of yourself who's just showing up really well for everyone else, but not being who you are without passion and purpose. Until next time, keep carving your own path, whether it's on the slopes or in life, professionally or personally. That's all for today. This PA is out.